pushing and pulling, it won't open, it's no good, and I'm wide awake now. I can't get no sleep.
The Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information, or follow the link in the description below. And as this is hot off the presser, we're proudly sponsored by High Point Access Limited, your number one stop shop for all your working at heights and roofing needs. If you mention the Ramble when you're asking for a quote, you'll receive 10% off any works. Find their details in all the links below. Thank you to High Point Access Limited for your continued support of the Blades Ramble.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is hot off the presser. Chris Wilder has just finished his pre-match press conference for the Southampton game tomorrow night. And the key theme this time, I think, was balance. And I loved it, as I always tend to do. I think, look, it's a manager's job, isn't it, to get the fans on side, get them supporting the team, and sort of everything that comes with that. There's nobody better than Chris Wilder. Not for us Blades. In terms of that, I know people have their issues, and nobody's ever 100% behind everything. But there's no man I'd prefer than to get us up for a game. It always, even if we'd have had a bad result, he's got a thing about turning me round and getting me excited. So let's get into what was said then. So Adam Oxley, there were only Adam Oxley and Danny Hall asking questions today. Adam Oxley from Radio Sheffield started us off saying, Chris, I believe that was your 141st win as Sheffield United manager. Was it one of your most important? And he says, yeah, with the situation we're in, it's got to be important for everyone, to be honest. You go through the highs and lows of management. To get the win is really big. I said to the players, we needed a big performance, and we got that in the second half. We now need to build on that on Tuesday night. Is it just a start, says Adam? Is it something to build on? Is it something that the beginning of a change? He said, well, first thing you've got to do, and we've said this on the Ramble, so I love that he's of the same mindset, you've got to celebrate your wins. I talked about it when I came back. It's really difficult to win games in this league. Things can quickly get broken and go the other way. I'll be honest, I was talking to Kev earlier, he says, it surprised me how quickly that's happened. But that's sport. He says it happens, you lose momentum, you lose confidence and lose belief. Hopefully after that second half on Saturday, that shirts become a little bit lighter. We had that on that Saturday night glow back after a victory, and hopefully that's something that can help the players kick on. Adam says, talk to me about Ben Mee then and his performance. He says, yeah, it's a really smart signing. I like it. Brings a lot of experience. It goes amiss how young this group are. And we were young last season as well. I've thought about it for... I thought about making the change for Charlton. I felt we needed a bit more work. He needed a bit more work. He'd not had a lot of time on the pitch. I think he played 45 or 60 minutes for the 21s. And that was one of my takeaways from the Charlton game, was that we need to get Ben Mee in this side. He says it's funny because I saw Jake Wright coming into the building the other day. I didn't know Jake Wright was working with some of the youngsters, but apparently he's working with under-16s. He says, I saw Jake Wright coming into the building, and it was like back when I first came in, I needed to get Jake Wright into the side. I'm delighted that Ben's coming to a winning team. Him, Tom Davis and Danny Ings coming into the group is a real boost for us for Tuesday. He says, what about Tahith Chong then? Because obviously Chong was set to start in the side at the weekend, got injured during the warm-up, and Samari came in and took his place. He says, he's in this morning for a scan. It was really disappointing for Chongi because he's trained really well. It was a position that he played for Luton in the Premier League. He'd worked really well on it, and we were confident that he'd go well. But Samari adapted well to the challenge. He was ready to go when I asked him to be. That's what the players have to do. And he says, I talk to the squad all the time. Just because we've named the team doesn't mean you don't need to stay ready, because you do. Subs need to dial into everything that we're doing. Any other issues or injuries that came out from Oxford? He says, no, there's a few bumps and bruises, but they're all putting their hands up to play. I'm delighted they're now putting their foot in a little bit. It's not an attitude thing. They do want to run around. I just want them to run around more. I want more from it. He says there's a little bit of a theory that I like my teams to be physical. I do, but I want them to play as well. That was a highlight of the second half for me, is that we played well. We controlled the game. We're a lot more controlled, and we stepped on the gas, and we'll need to keep doing that on Tuesday night. He says, what about Southampton? And you've got the same number of wins as each other at the moment. And he says, well, to be honest, I'm not interested in their form, to be honest, but I do look at their team and look at the quality throughout their team. It's fixed to turn at some stage for Southampton. So we're not expecting any different on Tuesday. We're preparing for the best Southampton we can. It's a big challenge and a big task in front of us. Something. Wide open. Is the league wide open? I couldn't read my own writing again. It always is. I didn't know there'd be. I didn't think there'd be 3 top teams like there were last season, and certainly 200-point teams. But it's as competitive as ever. It's difficult to win games of football at this level, like we've spoken about it. Some games you're not going to play well every game. Some games you will play well. Some you'll play average, and some you won't be at it. We want to win every single game. We set the bar high. You poll those away fans in the away end. Yes, you can nitpick the performance, but we're again in another rebuild. It's part of them. You need to rebuild the mentality as well now, not just the playing squad, but the fans that travelled with their team, wanted to see us compete, wanted to see us play well and win. I think they'll say, certainly on the second half performance, that we did that. And Adam says, well, what about the home fans then? Is it something that you said you'd wanted to have got it at Charlton? Is it now a point of giving the home fans something to cheer about? He says, you need to get both parts of the season right. He says you need to get points on the road, but as always, it needs to be Fortress Bramall Lane. We need a vociferous crowd. We need to set the tone for them. It's the first 3-game week we've had this season so far, and it's a really difficult opposition. Just on that as well, he sort of says, he never very rarely, in fact, because he has done it in the past, but very rarely does he go at the supporters in terms of we need more from you. But we know at home we need to do more. So he's not said that in his presser this morning. He said, Fortress Bramall Lane with a vociferous crowd behind it. There hasn't been a vociferous crowd for ages at Bramall Lane. So we need to do our bit, don't we, as well? I think if we're going to help turn this team around like the away fans did down at Oxford. And Adam finished with a couple of questions about Matt Fitzpatrick. He says it's amazing. He's an incredible. He's done an incredible job. I've spoken to his family. They're incredibly proud too, and rightly so. He's justified his selection and been outstanding. This is obviously in the Ryder Cup. Part of a winning team, we all want that. It's been a good weekend for Sheffield United, both in Oxford and in New York. And Adam says, can you take some inspiration from what Fitzy's done? He says, well, whatever anyone does, you can look at that as an inspiration. It's easy to find. I love this. And this is a quote that he will likely say again, and it will be pulled out. It's easy to find inspiration from your teammates when champagne's dripping from the ceiling. But it's not at the moment. Matt came out of the top 25, won a major, could have packed in, but he didn't. It's a sign of a winner, and he deserves all the accolades that he's getting. So what he's saying is, it's when things are going well, it's easy to stick your head above the parapet, but things aren't going well at the minute. Champagne is not dripping off the ceiling in the changing rooms. Let's crack on and get to work. They were a really good, and he does talk about balance a little bit more, but there were a really good balance to this in terms of enjoy the victories, and it's right that we do that, and we as fans should do that as well, which we've talked about here on the Ramble. But enjoy the victories, but then switch on business. And there was a bit of joviality, but it was still very business-like. I thought it was so good. Danny Hall then came in and he says, yeah, it's a 3-game week. Do you have to manage this was an interesting question and very pertinent. does it mean there'll be some changes in personnel? He says, yeah, we're not physically where I'd like us to be, which I thought were a really interesting point. We don't want to break anybody. We had some good contributions off the bench. He mentioned Matos and Sam McCallum. The game is changing. Arteta spoke about it. We saw what happened on Saturday. It's not about us sitting back. They took chances and put another centre forward on. They also sent Helicup. He didn't say that, but they also sent Helicup quite often as they throw in everything at us to try and get something. Sometimes you need to see games out, and the way we defended was really pleasing. He says sometimes I wish Burnley had done one last season. He was joking, like, but they took all the plaudits defensively. But we were up there in the top 5 in Europe for our defence last season, which I thought was surprisingly good. Certainly, the first half of the season we were incredible defensively. I think the second half of the season it petered out a little bit. Harry Suter was a huge part of that, wasn't he? Talking about running stats and stuff like that, and Wilder says balance in a 3-game week is key. We're limited to the physicality we can do with them this week, with it being a 3-gamer. We need balance. Don't break anyone. Matt Prestridge and Tom Little, who are very highly thought of at the club, highly regarded by myself as well, on how they guide that and sort of instruct us on who should be playing and when, and what physical state they're in. I want an athletic side that gets around the pitch. He says it's a young squad, like you've mentioned, says Danny. How do the older heads affect that? How do the older lads sort of guide the young lads? He says, well, the top pros, both off the pitch and on, and we need to get back to that. Enjoy your wins. He went back to this. Enjoy your wins. We've got to do everything right. Training, recovery days. What are they eating? How are they looking after themselves? We set the bar high in terms of standards. That's what the older players will do as well. They carry the culture of the club. We're talking about Ben Mee, Danny Ings, Tom Davis, and Cheo Ogbeni as well. They're all leaders. Their attitude to decisions, their attitude to training, to gym sessions, is all so important. Young players need role models, and we've got that a nice balance here. And Danny says, yeah, it's all about balance, isn't it? Enjoying the wins, like you've said. He sort of basically said, can you elaborate a little bit more? He says, don't get me wrong, we enjoyed the trip back up. There were initiation songs. We had that feeling. I had that feeling, though, when I came back, that this was in the players. The older boys will drive that. They'll take the players will take some of it from me. They'll take some of it from Ben Mee. They'll take some of it from Danny Ings. The message from them is a powerful one, I'm sure, in the changing room, and that's what I need. Danny says, any song highlights that you want to mention? He says, no, at one stage the coach driver grabbed the microphone on the M1 doing 50 mile an hour, and that made me a little bit nervous, but it's all good fun. He says, what about Callum O'Hare then? Says Danny, it's a challenge to him, isn't it, to get more goals and assists, as you talked about in your post-match. He says, 100%. A lot of teams were after him. When we managed to get him, I was delighted that we got Callum. He played a big part in our season last year. He's an honest guy. I think he covered 14k on Saturday, which is amazing, but he's not working towards the Olympics. He's working towards assists and goals. So he's working on that aspect of his game technically as well. And towards the end, I just talked about Tom Davis. Tom Davis, what about Tom then? How does he feel? You've talked about how important Tom Davis is to Sheffield United. How does that feel from Tom Davis' perspective? He says he doesn't want to be on the treatment table. Players want to be out there and amongst it. Getting Tom back is huge. Keep him fit, and he's going to be an influential member of the team. We are light in the centre of midfield. You look at Alex Matos, Samare, Sidi. A lot of expectations have been on Sidi this season. He's had a lot of the spotlight in terms of his performances. I also think he's been asked to do a job which has left him exposed, something that we've talked about again. And I think it's a little bit unfair, but he does need to raise his levels and get back to somewhere where he was last season. I think that's very fair. Some will have sympathy for him. We're going to try and get him back to his best. And then the last question was, Danny, just going back to Tom Davis, he says, what about his contract then? Because he's out of contract at the end of the season. Is this like a make or break season for him? He says, the boy wants to play. He's got an impressive CV. He raises the standard. There's a lot of sort of intimation that players tend to raise their standards in the last 6 months of the deal. It won't be a Tom Davis thing, that. Hopefully he's with us for the his medium-term future is here with us. A fit Tom Davis is a massive asset to us. And that was it. That was the presser. Not much on Southampton, other than there'll be a really tough test, which there will. I think it's more about Sheffield United at the minute, isn't it? And it certainly is for these press conferences, but it's more about focusing on ourselves and getting our job right, and getting us right, in the right mindset, the right mind frame. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Like I always do. But I want to know what you guys thought of it. Thank you to everybody that's joined us for this to catch up. So Harry says, excited now for the games again. Hopefully a good result on Tuesday and we can kickstart the season. It'll be a tough game though. Not necessarily expecting a win here. I would take a draw as well. I think it'll be a draw. I'm desperate for a win. Can you imagine if we... Anyway, let's just temper expectations. But yeah, absolutely. I think a draw is a good result. A draw is a good result. Jez says, on-field leadership will be vital tomorrow, so I hope Ben Mee is retained in the starting lineup. Probably asking too much for Tom Davies to start, but we need his centre midfield quality in there also. Again, that's something that Wilder's alluded to, Jez, and you've commented before he's finished, so that's obviously clearly your opinion, which matches up with what Wilder was saying. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be too early for Tom Davies to start, and I also think Ben Mee comes out of the side. I hope I'm wrong, and the shining light for me is that it's a position that doesn't require the most physicality in terms of running and fitness and things like that. It's a very fine line to walk this, because obviously everybody needs to be fit and everybody needs to be physical, but it's not the most strenuous in terms of output, isn't centre half. So maybe there's a chance he plays, but I would, if I was to guess, I would say Ben Mee comes out of the side. Brett says, how can any Blade not love Wilder? Singing on the tables, giving it back to the away fans. Is a proper Blade through and through. But importantly, the guy knows his stuff. Up all the positive ones. Like and subscribe. It's totally free. Thank you, Brett. It is totally free. Alex says, I would take a draw, but definitely under Wilder. I'm sure we'll go for the win. The difference in the mood since Wilder's return says it all. He just gets it. Come on, you Blades. There's a lot to be said for just getting it, isn't there? And I think the more we experiment with people who don't get it, the more valuable it is recognised for people that do. So yeah, I agree, pal. This is the view from the mountain. Can we follow up with a second victory this week? Will be massive if we can. They'll come and play. It might just suit us while they're keeping us going with some more well-chosen words. What a man. What a man, what a view. Absolutely right, Paul Man Mountain. Hope your head's okay this morning, pal, after Oasis. Chris says, unbelievable how these two teams are at the moment. But come May, surely they'll both be fighting the top six. You'd hope so, Chris. You'd hope so. That the quality of players in the squad is good enough to do that. Whether, has it gone too far already? Possibly not, but we need to focus on the task at hand, don't we, and get out of the blocks. Alan says, Jim lad, want any windows cleaned? No, I am not that Alan Smith or ex-footy player. I am Wolverhampton Alan Smith, up the Blades and up the Ramble. Avast behind. I know, mate, I were only joking with you, but thank you for that. Alex says, got to be honest, Samari didn't look interested or up for it. Matos in for me. In terms of not in for me, in for Samari. That's going to be a thing all season now, isn't it? But yeah, I can see that point as well. I think in parts, you're absolutely right, Alex. I think he also in flashes looks really strong as well. So it depends what Samari turns up, doesn't it? Because maybe it's a confidence thing. He certainly wasn't ready to play, was he? In terms of he wasn't expecting to play. So we'll see. Mark Meldrew says it's a huge week. This 7 out of 9 and momentum starts to build. Big performance needed on Tuesday night. You're right, pal. Ray says, morning all. Yep, that win will certainly put a smile back on our faces. Love it. Hopefully we get a result tomorrow. Up all the rambles. Like and subscribe. Up the Blades. Thank you, Ray. Sonny Glasby of Glasby's Palette, sponsors of Ramble FC. And behind the Ramble says, morning, Jim. Hope you're well, pal. If the Messiah can get a win tomorrow night, it could be a massive turning point for us, installing confidence back into the team and the fans. Really excited for tomorrow. Me too, pal. You and me both. Lewis says, morning, Jimmy. Did Chris give you a time to get the coffee in? I was trying to get the presser on in Greg's. Same team tomorrow, hopefully. Perfect game for us Tuesday, I think. A team that will open up the Ramble. I will persevere with Samari. Needs to up his level, but I think he'll find it. Certain players will start to find form and build themselves up as we pick up results and play better. Ty included. I hope you're right, pal. I really hope you're. And it's a fair fair guess, I suppose. It's an educated guess in terms of what we've seen previously. Leeds says, good luck today, Jimmy. Thank you, pal. We don't play till tomorrow, but I'll take luck any day of the week. But thank you, pal. Hope you're good. Brett says, Tuesday night, we need to get the beer or pop downers, get rowdy and loud and focus that energy on making Bramall Lane an intimidating place for teams to come again. Bring the noise up all the rambles. Thank you, mate. George says, morning, Jimmy. Got a feeling we'll scrape a 1-0 here. Two sides short on confidence, but home advantage might see us nick a goal. Got to play quicker in the final third. Will help us create more. Calm down, Jimmy. Calm down. I don't know. Calm down, dear. Manning will be the one to target. Decent going forward, but struggles defending. Get Ogbeni or Sariki behind. Yeah, possibly. They play a 3-4-2-1, I think, at the moment, or they have been most recently. Up the automatic promotion, Wilder Blade, says Will. Up the Ramble, top man. And then Nath says, morning, Jimmy. I'm hoping for 7 points from the 3 games this week. So after the win on Saturday, a point tomorrow wouldn't be the worst thing. Unpopular opinion, but I would take Ty out and start Cannon. Interesting. I wouldn't particularly. I think Tyrese Campbell is the better player, although both are bang out of form, aren't they? Let's be right. I think we have to sort of pump the brakes a little bit on the 7 points from 9 when we've got no points from the first 6 and 3 from the 7th. So, yes, 7 points from 9 would be an incredible return after the run that we've been on. One at a time, I think. If we get 5 points from the 3 games, I think it's a decent return, if I'm honest. It's not what we want. We want 9, but we've got to be measured, haven't we, in how we go about it. Joe says, morning, Jim. The fact CW is back is a breath of fresh air. Even after 3 months, he just gets it. Can't help but think we'd have romped this league with him keeping his job. Onwards and upwards, up the Blades, up the Ramble. PS, can't wait to eventually see Sariki as a right wing back. Will cause all sorts of problems for teams going forward. Absolutely right. Nate says, let's hope Archer doesn't come back to haunt us. Could do. Very good player. Very good player. Rob says, was a typical performance from last season. Not always the best on the eye, but a much needed 3 points. Tom Davis will be massive this season if he stays fit, and that is the key, isn't it? If. It's a big if. Not sure if Campbell is fit this season. It doesn't look it, does it? Eki Outsal was saying exactly the same, that he looks like he's not fit. When you said, imagine if, I knew what you were thinking, 3 games in a week. No, to be fair, it was just 4. This next game, though, Mark, that I was talking about, can you imagine if we went and we bossed Southampton and put in a real performance? But again, that is very optimistic of me. So I'm trying to train myself to think a draw is a good result, and then anything else will be absolutely buzzing. This role doesn't suit him, but he doesn't seem fit. Not many better in behind, but back to goal, he isn't the best, in my opinion. I think he's the best that we've got in terms of a lone striker option because he's strong. He's quick, but you're right, he is coming too deep. He's better on the shoulder of the last man. I would like to see him facing goal a lot more than he does, rather than facing our team. So we'll wait and see. But he's certainly bang out of form at the moment. Not looking forward to Ollie McBurney on Saturday, but we can do it. Come on, you red and white wizards. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Speaking of players, Tyrese Campbell not in form. Ollie McBurney is bang in form for Hull. And they are next up, aren't they? After Southampton. So get this one done first. Big T says, what time will people be in Triple Point tomorrow night? Been asked any number of times to come down. So tomorrow I will be in quite early, I think. Tomorrow I will be in early because I've got a few bits to do. So I'll be there, Big T, if you fancy coming down. And that's about it. That's about everybody's. I'm at the bottom of the comments. We've got through it quite quickly this morning. Which is great because Wilder was straight to the point, very direct, businesslike, as we want him to be, as we admire about him. I'm pretty pleased. I'm pretty pleased with the preparation. I'm pretty pleased with the attitude going into the game. We just need to do the business now, don't we? We're in the middle of a business first. If it's another average performance, I know second half a lot of people were praising the performance, but if it's another average performance, but we get a result, and can you imagine just even 1-0 like somebody suggested, would be incredible, then that's all we need, isn't it? Because if the results come, the confidence will return and the performances will improve with that. Just get the result first and foremost. So, yeah, excited. the next time you'll see me, unless I'll be on Ramble FC tonight with Cal Fowler. We usually go about 6 o'clock. I haven't spoke to him yet, but I'm sure that'll be the time. So I'll see you there, and then I'll be back for 90 after 90. Directly after the Southampton game, it'll be travelling time home. Be a late one, about 11 o'clock, I think. But we're there for the direct reaction from everybody afterwards. So for now, come on, you red and white wizards, on the blades!
Shots down on the